Welcome to today's reading from the Krishna book. We are on the chapter The Rasa Dance, Introduction. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So just to give a recap where we were yesterday. So the conclusion was yesterday that if somehow or other one becomes attached to Krishna or attracted to him, either because of his qualities of beauty, opulence, fame, strength, renunciation or knowledge, through affection or friendship, or even through lust, anger or fear, then one's salvation and freedom from material contamination is assured. And also the gopis were saying to Krishna yesterday, when Krishna was having a word jugglery kind of thing with them, when they left everything and came to the Vamshivata to take part in the Rasa dance. So what did they say to Krishna when Krishna said to them to go back to their respective homes? They said, according to the Shastra state, Acharya Upasana, the worship of your lotus feet is the first principle. Besides that, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, you are the only enjoyer, you are the only proprietor, and you are the only friend. As such, we have come to you, leaving aside all so-called friends, society and love, and now you have become our enjoyer. Let us be everlastingly enjoyed by you. Be our proprietor, for that is your natural claim, and be our supreme friend, for you are naturally so. Let us thus embrace you as Supreme Lord. But a word of caution Prabhupada gave us earlier, that please don't try to imitate the state of gopis. They are very, very highly elevated, exalted devotees of Krishna. Now, let's begin our reading. Then the gopis told Lotus Eye Krishna, please do not discourage our long-cherished desires to have you as our husband. Any intelligent man who cares for his own self-interest reposes all his loving spirit in you. Persons who are simply misled by the external energy, who want to be satisfied by false concepts, try to enjoy themselves apart from you. The so-called husband, friend, son, daughter, father and mother are all simply sources of material misery. No one is made happy in this material world by having a so-called father, mother, husband, son, daughter and friend. Now, if we have got not much knowledge about the Krishna's consciousness, and if we haven't got the Prabhupada's purports and the translations of his books, we would just simply laugh, because living in this material world, this is all a person understands, the attachments and so on and so forth. Although the father and mother are expected to protect the children, there are many children who are suffering for want of food and shelter. There are many good physicians, but when a patient dies, no physician can revive him. There are many means of protection, but when one is doomed, none of the protective measures can help. And without your protection, Krishna, the so-called sources of protection simply become source of continued distress. We therefore appeal to you, dear Lord of all lords, please do not kill our long-cherished desires to have you as our supreme husband. Now, these are very powerful statements, and these are the statements which help us to sever our worldly attachments and to serve beyond the chains of the entanglement of this moh and maya, like we say in Hindi, in our day-to-day language. And these are the words of Prabhupada which actually have inspired even the Western devotees to become inclined to Krishna consciousness. Yesterday I was watching even how in the lockdown, the Western devotees, they were doing beautiful Rath Yatra in Vrindavan with masks and everything on, albeit on a small scale. But even the local devotees had put in the comments on YouTube that these Western devotees are so inspiring. So this is the love and attachment and the right understanding of the philosophy, which has empowered these people, that they go and spend up to long period of holidays in India, or maybe many of them have permanently shifted their bases from Western countries to the dhams in Mayapur or Vrindavan and live there, because they are more intelligent and more They have understood the philosophy and Krishna more deeper than us, than the so-called people who are born in the eastern side, in the Hindu or maybe Christian or Muslim or whichever families following any dharma, who are born and raised in India. We don't understand better than how these people have understood. So this was my realization from yesterday's Bahuda Rath Yatra. Dear Krishna, as women, we are certainly satisfied when our hearts are engaged in the activities of family affairs, but our hearts have already been stolen by you. We can no longer engage them in family affairs. Besides that, although you have repeatedly asked us to return home, and that is a very appropriate instruction, unfortunately, we have been stunned here. Our legs have no power to move a step from your lotus feet. Therefore, if even at your request we return home, what shall we do there? We have lost our ability to act without you. Instead of engaging our hearts in family affairs as women, we have now developed a different type of lust which is continually blazing in our hearts. Now we request you, dear Krishna, to extinguish that fire with your beautiful smile and the transcendental vibration emanating from your lips. If you do not agree to do us this favor, we shall certainly be burned in the fire of separation. In that condition, we shall simply think of you and your beautiful features and give up our bodies immediately. In that way, we think it will be possible for us to reside at your lotus feet in the next life. Dear Krishna, if you say that if we go home, our respective husbands will satisfy the lusty flame of our desire, we can only say that that is no longer possible. You have given us a chance to be enjoyed by you in the forest and have touched us in the past, which we accepted as a blessing, as do the goddesses of fortune, who are enjoyed in the Vaikuntha Lokas by you. Since we have tasted this transcendental enjoyment, we are no longer interested in going back to anyone but you for the satisfaction of our lust. Dear Krishna, the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune are always worshipped by the demigods. Although she is always resting on your chest in the Vaikuntha planets, she underwent great austerity and penance to have the same shelter at your lotus feet. Now, very, very powerful statements here. So, although the goddess of fortune, the Lakshmi Mata, she is the better half in our layman's language, or we should say consort of Krishna, she has also got the position of serving his lotus feet. So to have the position of serving his lotus feet, she has gone through equally grueling, I should say, or difficult penances and austerities to have that position. So when we see Lakshmi Mata serving the feet of Lord Vishnu, we shouldn't just take it lightly. She has earned that position. She underwent great austerity and penance to have the same shelter at her lotus feet, which are always covered by tulasi leaves. So Prabhupada is telling us the importance again of the tulasi leaves. Tulasi is very, very dear to Lord Krishna, even in the spiritual world. Actually, whatever we are doing here, we are just trying to copy all the rules and regulations, so we remember if we ever get a chance to serve Krishna personally. Your lotus feet are the proper shelter of your servitors, and the goddesses of fortune, instead of abiding on your chest, comes down and worships your lotus feet. We have now placed ourselves under the dust of your feet. Please do not reject us, for we are fully surrendered souls. Dear Krishna, you are known as Hari. You destroy all the miseries of all living entities, specifically of those who have left their homes and family attachment and have completely taken to you. We have left our homes with the hope that we shall completely devote and dedicate our lives to your service. We are simply begging to be engaged as your servants. We do not wish to ask you to accept us as your wives. Simply accept us as your maid servants. Since you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and like to enjoy the Parakiya Ras and are famous as the transcendental woman hunter, we have come to satisfy your transcendental desires. We are also after our own satisfaction. For simply by looking at your smiling face, we have become very lusty. We have come before you, decorated with all ornaments and dress. But until you embrace us, all our garments and beautiful features remain incomplete. You are the supreme person, and if you complete our dressing attempt as the Purusha Bhushan, or the male ornament, then all our desires and bodily decorations are complete. Dear Krishna, we have simply been captivated by seeing you with the tilak and with earrings, and by seeing your beautiful face covered with scattered hair and bearing your extraordinary smile. Not only that, but we are also attracted by your arms, which always give assurance to the surrendered souls. And although we are also attracted by your chest, which is always embraced by the goddess of fortune, we do not wish to take her position. This is the humbleness of the gopis. We shall simply be satisfied by being your maid servants. If you accuse us, however, of encouraging prostitution, wow, then we can only ask, where is that woman within these three worlds who is not captivated by your beauty and the rhythmic songs vibrated by your transcendental flute? Within these worlds, these three worlds, there is no distinction between men and women in relation to you. Now, Prabhupada is telling us, in this world, we all are same. There's no distinction as Purusha and Sri. It is only for the sake of the material world. But actually, everyone is a lady, and the only person who is man is Lord Krishna. Okay, sorry, my screen froze there, so I have picked up the picture of Lord Vishnu where Lakshmi ji is massaging his lotus feet. You can see here. I can't put everybody in frame, so I'll bring it back to Garbhodakshay Vishnu. There is no woman within these three worlds who cannot but deviate from a path of chastity once she is attracted to you, because your beauty is so sublime. Sorry, I've missed a few lines here. Because you, both men and women, belong to the marginal potency or prakriti. So there is no distinction between men and women in relation to Krishna, because both men and women, they belong to the marginal potency or the prakriti. No one is actually the enjoyer or the male. Everyone is meant to be enjoyed by you. There is no woman within these three worlds who cannot but deviate from a path of chastity once she is attracted to you, because your beauty is so sublime that not only men and women, but also cows, birds, beasts, and even trees, fruits, and flowers, everyone and everything become enchanted, and what to speak of ourselves. It is, however, definitely decided that as Lord Vishnu is always protecting the demigods from the onslaught of demons, so you have also advented in Vrindavan just to give the residents protection from all kinds of distress. O dear friend of the distressed, kindly place your hand on our burning selves as well as on our heads, because we have surrendered unto you as your eternal maid servants. If you think, however, that your lotus-like palms might be burned to ashes if placed on our burning breasts, let us assure that your palms will feel pleasure instead of pain. As the lotus flower, although very delicate and soft, enjoys the scorching heat of the sun. Upon hearing the anxious plea of the gopis, the Supreme Personality of Godhead smiles, and being very kind to the gopis, the Lord, although self-sufficient, began to embrace them and kiss them as they desired. Then when Krishna smilingly looked at the faces of the gopis, the beauty of the faces became 100 times enhanced. When he was enjoying them in their midst, he appeared just like the full moon surrounded by millions of shining stars. Thus the Supreme Personality of Godhead, surrounded by hundreds of gopis and decorated with a flower garland of many colors, began to wander within the Vrindavan forest, sometimes singing to himself and sometimes singing with the gopis. In this way, the Lord and the gopis reached the cool sandy bank of Yamuna, where there were lilies and lotus flowers. In such a transcendental atmosphere, the gopis and Krishna began to enjoy one another. While they were walking on the bank of the Yamuna, Krishna would sometimes put his arm around a gopi's head or waist, pinching one another and joking and looking at one another. They enjoyed. When Krishna touched the bodies of the gopis, their lust to embrace him increased, and they all enjoyed these pastimes. Thus the gopis were blessed with all the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for they enjoyed his company, that is Krishna's company, without a tinge of sex life. So a mundane person, when he hears about the Rasa pastimes of Krishna with the gopis, first thing which comes to his or her head is, oh my God, our God is so lusty, because this is how they portray. So that's why Prabhupada says that Krishna book is the preliminary study of the Bhagavatam. Senior devotees or the Swamis or the Maharajas, that how come it is stressed that we should read canto by canto Bhagavatam from first canto to 10th canto. They say even that if you have not cleared the lust of your mind, don't proceed to canto 2, come back to canto 1, and then anger and so forth. The real explanation is in the canto 10 of the Bhagavatam. This is just a preliminary introductory explanation of the Rasa dance. So what we see as sexual experiences in this human life is nothing like that in the it's nothing like that in the spiritual world. Because when they describe to us that as far as Krishna is concerned, his when we sing the Brahma Samhita's Aarti in the morning, the Darshanarti, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamam Bhajami, we say Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vritimanti Pashyanti Panti Kanti Chiram Jaganti. Actually, Krishna's limbs are capable of doing everything. His eyes can not just see, they can also eat. So that's why when we offer bhoga, Krishna is accepting that bhoga through his eyes. His hands can also see. All his limbs are capable of doing all the actions of different limbs. Unlike us, our eyes can only see, hands can only help us to eat or do work. Our feet can do specific jobs, our hands can do specific jobs, our ears can do specific jobs. This is not the case with Krishna. So to just interpret that the pastimes of the Rasa Leela between gopis and Krishna were of the mundane kind, of with the tinge of sexual element in it, no. It was very, very pure on a very, very high scale, which I don't think you and me can yet understand. We have to develop more and more understanding towards Krishna and become more purified in Krishna consciousness. Then we shall be able to understand the Gopi Bhav, as they say. So I shall finish my reading here now, and we will meet again tomorrow at the same time. Thanks for watching Narayan Keshav Prabhu. All of you have a lovely and blissful day ahead. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol.